BeatMaker the Squad, what's good? It's your boy Cheez, the producer. Welcome to Mixing Across the Apps, episode 2. Before we get started, just want to give you a quick reminder, hit the subscribe button. Also, leave a comment for any other type of content that you would like me to cover in the future. Also, when you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of whenever new content is uploaded to the page. So with that being said, let's get back into this mix. Alright, so last time we were here, we leveled our mixes, talked about mixing, room in our mix, and how to create more room in it. This week what we're going to do is we're going to take the same mix, and we are going to try to basically add a little more of like textures and just different quality to it. So right now we've got pretty much a clean mix, so let's just take a listen to it just to hear where we left off last week. Alright, so as you can see there, we got a nice clean mix as far as volume is concerned, but as far as life is concerned in the mix, it's a little dead, you know what I'm saying? So one thing that we can do to kind of like bring the liveliness to the mix is add reverb. If you don't know what reverb is, if you've ever gone into an empty room and clapped your hands and you kind of heard that shh, that's reverb. The way basically it's your hand, the sound that you made with your hand bouncing off the walls in there. You'll probably hear the reverb in the space that I'm in right now. When you're using reverb, or any effect in that matter, you have two options. First is to have an insert effect. The second is to have a send effect. Insert effect basically means you insert that effect in between the sound and the fader, okay? And so when you do that, if you use reverb, you'd have to use the reverb mix dial to kind of dial in how much of the reverb you want on the sound. Some sounds might require you to have it all the way like washed out in reverb. Other sounds might require you to have it like 50% in reverb, you know, like a nice little mix. I tend to use reverb as a send effect. Now a send effect, what that basically means is that you have your sound going to the fader, but you take some of that sound and you send it to another to another channel that will probably most likely host an effect. And that would, like, let's say if it's reverb, would then mix that reverb into your total mix. Okay, and BeatMaker 3, you can accomplish this using the auxiliary channels. Okay, so when you're using reverb, to me the best bet is to use with a send effect, so you can send multiple sounds to that effect. So let's just get started. I think I would like the sample as well as maybe the snare and a teensy bit of the hi-hat to have that reverb on it, so it can kind of glue it all together and make it sound like it's all in the same place. So let's create a reverb. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to track, I'm gonna press plus, and I'm gonna create new aux track. Okay, and that's aux 3, so I'm gonna go to audio effects, aux 3, and I'm gonna just use a stock reverb here, but as I said before, stock plugins work. You're open to use whatever reverb you want. Some reverbs are cleaner than others, some provide different qualities. I just want like pretty much a standard reverb, so I'm just gonna go with the stock reverb in BeatMaker 3. Okay, and it's very simple. Room size lets you know how large a room will be. The wet mix, I want this to be all the way up to 100. The dry mix, I want this to be down to 0 because this is a send effect. I don't need any of the dry mix. I just want the complete wet mix. The stereo width has to do with how large you want it in your stereo space. If you have the stereo width at 0, your reverb is going to be mono. If you have it at 50, it'll be like half of what it normally is. If you have it at 100%, it'll be completely stereo. I'm just going to leave it at 50% for right now because I just want to hear what it sounds like, and then we can start doing some other things. All right, so let's go to the drums. Ooh, that's loud. Okay, and this is going the mixer here. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for the drums that I turned down. The first one, that's a kick. I'm not gonna send that to the reverb. We'll talk about that in a second. The snare, I'm gonna send that to the reverb. So this is send 3. So what we need to do is hit all sends, and for the snare, just gonna turn it up a little bit. So you can hear now it's got a nice little bit of reverb on it, okay? And then the hi-hat is over here somewhere. Here it is. Send 3. Okay. And you want that to, see, now it's just a teensy bit of reverb on there, alright? Alright, so now the reason why I'm not sending the kick to the reverb is because if I send the kick to the reverb, it will actually create like a lot of build up of low frequencies. Actually, you know what I'll do? I will send the kick to reverb, and I'm gonna clean that up very easily. Okay, so I'm gonna send the kick to reverb. So as you can hear, you don't even really hear anything, but you do hear that thump in there. So what I will then do is I'm gonna go back to auxiliary 3. I'm gonna put a filter on it, and it gives you a low pass as default. I'm gonna set it to high pass and turn the resonance down, and I'm bringing it down to about 100. See how that sounds. Now basically that kind of just clears the kick out of it, but to me you'll still be able to hear it a little bit in the mix. All right, now let's go to bank 1 where we have our sample. What I'm gonna do is, well, you know what? I'll just go from the main fader and all sends. I'm gonna send that to reverb as well. So let's see what we got here. Don't forget to save. Alright, so already you can hear everything kind of sounds together. The only thing that's sticking out is the vocal sample. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little of that to the reverb as well. I'm going to fast forward to about where it comes in. And let's hear it. Yeah. So now everything sounds like it's kind of molded together. So let's save that. Would you look at that? I left the limiter off. Whatever. Not clipping without it on, so leave it. So now what I have highlighted on the screen is auxiliary 1. In auxiliary 1 I have a delay, and then I have that delay going into another reverb, which is the Future Sonic's freeze reverb. That's a dope reverb. Check it out, like it's a dope reverb. Now, I have a stereo widening on that, but I have that cut off for one reason or another. I don't know what it was. Let's go to auxiliary 2, see what we got there. Auxiliary 2, I have another delay, but I don't think I have anything going to this delay. I think this one may have just been a mistake when I created it, so I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. All right, so next thing I wanna do is, I like the way my drums sound, but I want these drums to really like stand out. All right, so I'm gonna create another auxiliary synth. All right, gonna go down here to the bottom where it says add track, create auxiliary track, and this auxiliary track, this was gonna be strictly for the drums and the bass. Okay, so I have a couple of presets that I use for my drums. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to dial in some overdrive. I'm gonna use a stock one, but another overdrive that I use, I believe it's free, is this Fuzz Plus 3. Dope overdrive. Matter of fact, I'm gonna use this one for this particular example. Okay, now under that, or after that I should say, I'm going to put a 6-band EQ in, and I have a preset in here. It's a drum send EQ, basically where it has a low shelf and a high shelf. So pretty much what it's doing is it's taking the low frequencies and high frequencies, kind of bringing them up, and it's going to like bring them like pretty much in your face. And then after that I do that, I'm going to bring a dynamics processor, and I have the preset for this, drum sync compression. Now this compression is really what it's doing is just crushing the hell out the drums. Not crushing, excuse me, it's compressing the hell out the drums because you already got the drums in the main mix, so this is kind of just taking them and kind of just giving you a teensy bit of like texture under those regular drums. Okay, so I'm gonna actually cut these all off except for the distortion or the overdrive, and I'm gonna just dial in the overdrive like teensy bit at a time. All right, so let's fast forward to bar 9 where the drums come in. So I'm gonna go ahead, all sends, this is send 4. So send a bit of it. So already you can hear the drums are just more in your face, just with that little bit of overdrive. I'm gonna turn it off. See how them drums are smacking now, but like we're peaking on the main level. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn that EQ on. Okay, go back to bar 9. Let's see what we got there with the EQ on. Now the EQ is probably gonna sound a little crazy because I don't have it compressed yet, but let's just hear it. Great thing about send effects is once you have all that stuff going to the send effects, you can then adjust the volume of that channel. Okay, so it's peaking the master fader, so I'm going to adjust the volume of it. So now you can see the drum's nice and in your face, but it's not peaking the master. So let's save. You know what I told you last week. All right. Now something else I'm gonna do for the drums. All right. Something else I do for the drums to make them really, really stand out. I'm gonna go this time into the drum mix itself. Now I've told you before stock plugins work. You've heard me say this over and over and over again. But there are a couple plugins that, like, when it comes to drums, like, I feel like you absolutely need, like, at least one that you absolutely need. One is that Fuzz Plus, so yeah, like I said, at least one. Fuzz Plus is dope, it's free, no reason you shouldn't have it. Available on the phone and iPad, dope, go get it. All right, next one I'm gonna talk about is FAC transient. It's a transient shape, and basically what it does is it takes your drums as they come through, it searches for the transients as it comes through, and it just makes them sharper. So like if you have like a wave file that's kind of like a kick that's kind of like, you know, it's like straight, like when it hits, but then like it kind of like goes out like that, it's gonna take it, and as soon as that hit comes in, it's gonna like chop, like compress the hell out of it, so it's sharper, so it punches more in the mix. So let's load that up. Okay. Actually, before I even get to this, I'm gonna cut that off. You know what? I wasn't gonna do this video, but there's a trick that will add low end to your kicks. All right, to your entire drum mix. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna load up a 6-band EQ. I'm gonna put that before the transient. Okay. Well, you can put it after. It's up to you. All right. So if you've ever heard of the Pultec EQ, it's basically an equalizer that has like a low pass, like a low shelf, and it has one that pushes the low shelf up and has a dial that pushes the low shelf down. So it chooses the same frequency and it pushes it up and pulls it down. But it makes, like, when the kicks hit, it just makes it so dope. All right, so I have a preset. I called it Baby Pultec. Okay, and on 30 hertz, I have a low shelf, and on two I have it at about 35. On 3 I have it at 60. 4 I have it at 60. 5 I have it at 100. 6 I have it at 100. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna choose 2 of these. Okay, that are either 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, or 5 and 6, and I'm gonna boost on one, and I'm gonna drop the frequency, drop the volume on the gain on the other one. I usually do it at about 100 100 hertz or 60 hertz, and one of the two, or maybe even 30 if I really want that low end thump. But I think I'm gonna stick with the about like 60 for this one. All right, so let's just hear what it does as it plays. I'm gonna turn it off so you can hear without it. So what it does is just kind of gives the kicks, just, and even the snares, anything that has anything to do in that 60 hertz frequency range, gives us a little bump. All right, so now after that, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put the transient shaper on there. Okay, and like I said, this is just gonna just even add even more like this punch to the drums. All right, so let's hear it. This is without the transient and with the transient. Now let's turn them both off. Drums still sound good, but they definitely lack that oomph that they had before. All right, so now let's save. All right, so said low end, can't forget about the bass, right? Not at all, not at all. So what I'm gonna do is go into the bass channel here, and I have this 808 here that I actually kind of have turned it just a sub. And I'm gonna, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually send that to that channel with the drums, so we can get a little bit of overdrive on there and just a little bit of extra bottom end on there as well. So let's hear what that does to it. So what I'm also gonna do here is I'm gonna put another one of my baby Pultecs here, and like for the drums I did 60 hertz. So for the bass I'm going to, let's see what happens when we do it with 100. I'm not gonna do the same frequency as the drums, so that way they don't get in the way of each other. Okay, so for the bass I'm gonna boost a little bit at 100, say like 3 decibels, and then I'm gonna cut 2.5. So with this Pultec, EQ technique, basically you want to boost a certain amount and then you want to cut a certain amount. So if you boost like 3, you might want to cut like 2.5. You just make sure that they're like right in the same place, and it'll give you a nice little bump. So let's hear where we get. Let's hear it without it. Now you hear it. Another thing we're gonna do with this bass, because the bass and the drum hit at the same, it's hitting the same rhythms. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a stereo widener on the drum. What that is gonna, I mean not the drum, on the bass. What that's gonna do is it's gonna let the bass go down the middle. I mean the kick drum go down the middle, but it's gonna let the bass like kind of like wrap around it. All right, so let's bring that up to about 150, somewhere around there. Here we get. First let's hear without it. Now let's hear it with it. All right. So what that's done for us is allow for our bass and our kick to like live in the same place. Okay, and I think that's about it for today. I don't want to make this video too long. As I said before, always remember, keep your levels low, use send effects, clean up your tracks, save, 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 and save again. It's your boy Cheez, the producer. Hold up, I'm not signing off just yet, because you know what? You know what it is. Y'all got homework. What's your homework for this week? Your homework for this week is to go through and mess around with your effects, okay? If you have tracks that have numerous like reverbs, delays, etc. on them, try setting up send effects. So when you have one delay, one reverb, and then send multiple sounds to that reverb. I can guarantee you, if you've been experiencing any crashing or stuff like that, and you do it this way, it's actually gonna make things work a little bit better in your DAW, because it's going to be less processor power, because instead of having 10 reverbs and your DAW is like, oh my god, I got 10 reverbs, now you got one reverb and you're just sending 10 sounds to the same reverb. Also, it's going to bring your beat to sound like it's all in one room and it's all in one cohesive beat, as opposed to having numerous different reverbs, and one sound like it's in a cave, one sound like it's in a room, one sound like it's in a cathedral, and everything just sounds crazy, and your listener just loses focus because they can't really like feel like everything is together. Anyhow, so that's your homework for this week. Do that. If you haven't seen the first video, I invite you to go check that out right now. Mixing Through the Apps episode 1. Next week, we're going to talk about master effects and how we can make this either into a nice clean mix, or we can turn this into a nice dirty mix. Oh yeah, it's gonna be real fun this week. I'll catch y'all then. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment if you liked it, leave a comment if you disliked it. Let me know how I could help, how I could improve the video and make it a little better for you to understand. Oh yeah, my bad. Also remember to follow BeatMaker Squad on Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, and definitely reach out, y'all. Like, hit me up in a DM on Instagram. I always write back to people. You know, you got questions, holla at me. Like, I have no problem hitting you up. You know, just give me a little time to get back to you. That's it. It's your boy Cheez, the producer for BeatMaker Squad, and I'm signing off. Peace.